Moo just might be the most spectacular creature on Earth. It's great on a plate, kicks ass in a glass. And many a biker still has his hide because he put on leather before taking that slide. Moo's contribution to humanity has been myriad over the years. But as amazing as helping us fight anemia, osteoporosis, and road rash has been, they are all trivialized by the greatest contribution Moo has ever made to humanity. I can say without an ounce of hyperbole that Moo saved the world. First of all, a word about words. You may have noticed I'm referring to this as Moo, and I do that for a reason. Its scientific name, its binomial name, is Bos taurus, but this may shock you. We do not have a word for one of these in English. These are cattle, but this is not a cattle. The word cattle only exists in the plural. It's like underwear or gambling odds. You can't have just one of them. Oh, but John, we do have a word for one of those in English. It's a cow. Actually, no, it's not. The word cow is inadequate. It is both too specific and too vague at the exact same time. This is a cow, you say? Well, cow only refers to the female of Bos taurus, and according to Wikipedia, it's even more specific than that. Dairy farmers use the word cow to refer to an adult Bos taurus female that has given birth, been decaffeinated, if you will. Until she gives birth, she's called a heifer. So the word cow is actually far too specific if you want to talk about the species at large, regardless of age, sex, or caffeination status. And at the same time, the word cow is far too vague. Cow is the female of numerous species of animals. A female whale is a cow, a female moose is a cow, a female elephant is a cow. So when you say the word cow, you may not necessarily be referring to one of these. So since there is no universally recognized singular for cattle, I have coined the word moo. You're welcome. Well, that was a lovely scenic little detour. You know I love talking about words, but let's get back on the highway here. How exactly did Moo save the world? In the history of mankind, we have only eradicated one disease, and that disease is smallpox. If you think we did that because smallpox was easy, think again. According to the Centers for Disease Control, they have found evidence of smallpox in Egyptian mummies dating back 2,300 years. That's how long smallpox has been around. So how deadly was smallpox? According to an article in Science Direct magazine, smallpox killed 300 million people in the 20th century alone. For purposes of comparison, war killed 100 million people. So smallpox killed triple the number of people that war did in the 20th century. Not to put too fine a point on this, but smallpox was declared eradicated in 1980. That means in the last 80 years of its life, smallpox killed triple the number of people that war did in 100 years. And in that 20th century, we had 2 world wars, if you'll remember. Smallpox was no small pox. So why don't we have smallpox anymore? In the late 18th century, an English physician by the name of Edward Jenner was treating people with smallpox left and right. And he noticed 2 very interesting things. First of all, people who got smallpox and then survived never got smallpox again. And the second thing he noticed was that there was one group of people who never got smallpox. Milkmaids. Edward Jenner did some research and learned that the disease cowpox is very similar to the disease smallpox. The major difference is that while cowpox is kind of bad for cattle, it's relatively harmless in humans. We get some lesions, but we don't die. So Edward Jenner wondered, is the fact that these milkmaids are contracting cowpox preventing them from contracting smallpox? He had to find out. He put his hypothesis to the test. He got a boy who had never shown any signs of cowpox or smallpox. He took the pus from a cowpox lesion and infected the boy with cowpox. He got cowpox. He got better. Then Jenner took the pus from a smallpox lesion and intentionally tried to give the boy smallpox. Pause here. History does not record where Edward Jenner found a boy whose parents were willing to let this man do radical experimentation on their child. My guess, he was a smallpox orphan. No matter how hard he tried, Edward Jenner could not give this boy smallpox. He repeated his experiments and got the same results. He had a major discovery on his hands. He had found a way to prevent people from getting this deadly disease. Eventually, he convinced the scientific community of his findings, and the mass inoculation effort was underway. Technology improved. They were able to produce the antigen faster. In 1948, the World Health Organization was formed, and they undertook to eradicate smallpox worldwide. I personally still bear the mark on my shoulder of my smallpox inoculation because of when and where I was born. Finally, in 1980, the World Health Organization pointed at one man in Somalia who had gotten smallpox and recovered and said, that is going to be the last person who is ever going to get smallpox. And for the last 40 plus years, they've been right. Edward Jenner didn't only discover a way to prevent smallpox, he had unknowingly founded an entirely new branch of medicine. He's called the father of immunology because he realized that rather than treating diseases, it is possible to get your body's own defenses to fight off certain diseases before those diseases have caused any harm. His discovery is one of the most important in microbiology and germ theory. The BBC released a list of the 100 greatest Britons of all time and placed Edward Jenner at number 79. If you think number 79 is not a very good showing, keep in mind he placed ahead of a handful of monarchs, Richard Branson, and Geoffrey Chaucer. Despite the accolades, Edward Jenner knew where the true credit lay, and that's why when it came time to name his innovation, he didn't name it after himself. Oh no. He gave credit where credit was due. He gave all the credit to moo. The Latin word for moo cow is vacca. It's exactly the same as the Italian word, and if you take out one of the C's, you get the Spanish and Portuguese words. When it came time for Edward Jenner to name this innovation that would go on to save literally hundreds of millions of lives worldwide, he named it a vaccine in honor of moo. So the next time you realize life is pretty good without your skin covered in smallpox lesions, or without your legs crippled with polio, or without your liver shut down by hepatitis, don't thank me. Thank moo. Keep it tuned here to lastrites.com for more speaking tips and the occasional great moment in medical history. That's last-writes.com. And if you follow me on social media or sign up for my email newsletter, you'll be made aware of new videos as they become available. And together we, that's you and I, we will lay boring speeches to rest by giving them the last rites.